Hi, hope you're all doing well. Now we're going to look at I think it's chapter 10 in the Harvard Business Review book. Basically, is the one titled, Who Has the D? In other words, D stands for decision. Where is the decision-making power in a company? Now, when you're a consultant or if you're analyzing a business case, you can always almost say there's a communication problem and there's a decision-making problem. Will almost always be a correct answer, or at least open up the discussion for finding the correct answer. In most companies, there are issues with making decisions. Not always on can they make them, but who is to make them, what power do they have, when can they operate, what level can they make decisions, etc. You can look at very simple cases where a local a branch, say in California, with a head office in Michigan, they can make credit decisions up into a certain level. When it gets above that level, they have to refer it back to head office. Or you can say negotiating contracts. Maybe a company tells their people in Oklahoma, when you're dealing with a local oil or supplier or equipment supplier for our oil industry in Oklahoma, you can spend $800,000 or $500 or $50 or $2 million, whatever it happens to be. They set a limit. If it gets above that, it's got to come back to head office, and then we make that decision here. That can be quite common, but sometimes you don't know what that level is, and that's what this chapter, what these analysts are talking about, is that sometimes there are things that the decisions are not made well based on an ambiguity and lack of clarity in that process. And they give a couple of examples. They talk about the global versus local. That's often the case. You have a big picture head office and the people on the ground. People on the ground are going to always, generally, will say, we know the client, we know the customer, we know what works right here. We have to have these decisions. We have to act fast, otherwise we're going to lose business. The people in the center are saying, yeah, but we don't want you to do all that because then you'll lose us money. You'll make the wrong choices, the wrong decisions, and we've been burned before. So they have to come to an agreement on what is the reliable thing and what has to go back to the head office. Also, who do you have there? Who do you have here? That makes a big difference too. If you have very experienced people in the field, you tend to give them more decision-making authority. However, huge organizations have to rely on clear objectives, clear levels of decision-making authority. Center versus business is very similar. It's the head office versus the people on the ground, and then function versus function. This happens a lot. For example, you'll have salespeople will be complain or they want to do certain things that the marketing team or maybe the operations staff or the credit area or any number of other related things disagree with, or they say the sales, I want to do this, but I need you to do that. And they can't make that decision. Or in order to improve the data we have here, the people in IT have to re-engineer or reprogram or even buy more servers. People say, we're not going to buy more servers because we don't have the authority to do that unless we check with someone else. So you have a lot of decision-making things that can be interrelated. In fact, I don't think these guys talk about that enough, is that sometimes the lack of being able to make good decisions is based on just complexity, or that a new thing has happened they've not seen before. So they need to analyze it, think about it, and come to an agreement on that. There are a lot of bottlenecks at top. Now, one thing before I go on, I think these guys are classic academic consultant type people, and so they don't. A lot of what they say is not. It's theoretical. It has applicability, but take it with a grain of salt. So in business, you say you want to clear the bottlenecks, sure. Set up the boundaries, responsibilities, etc. The org chart, all those things are really true. Because the thing is that, but in reality, when you're there, there are a lot of things involved. The people are a big issue. Who's out there? Who are we entrusting with this? Then you have the concrete limits, policies, guidelines, etc. that are necessary in any company for decision-making process to work. And these overlap. Then you have the org chart. The org chart, every time you write an organization chart, basically, you have to start writing a new one because people change, people they quit, they go, they change. It's a very dynamic process. So you have to constantly realize that your structures and your policies change all the time. Some of them don't. I mean, obviously, if you say we have a $5 million limit of this and we can't go any higher than that because we'll bust our legal lending limit, that's a hard thing. But next year maybe you put more capital in it and that can be increased. Or maybe you'll say we could do that, but our house limit is going to be 20% lower than that because of other factors. Things do change. So I think the key here is that realizing when you're in work, decision making will be difficult. It's hard enough to have the willpower to make a decision. But then these structural issues that have to be constantly tweaked and improved and enhanced and clarified in order to make proper decisions. You want to know, what can I do? What do I need to refer? And then you make that really clear. If it's not clear to you when you're working, just ask. Say, what can I do? How much decision making authority do you want me to have? Do you want me to act autonomously? People will say, we want you to do your own thing, but to an extent, to a limit. So make sure you ask what those limits are. No one's going to mind if you do. What can I do? What do you want me to refer? All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.